Hingað kominn Ben Hamilton Bailey. Ben Hamilton skipulagsfræðingur og nú erum við nefndar í vandræðum því að hann datt hérna inn í þáttinn á síðustu stundu og þetta ekki textað. Við reynum að setja text á þetta viðtal en ég vona nú að þetta skiljist hér það sem við segjum. Ben, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We are going to talk about shared spaces, and this is an interesting subject in a world where which is full of cars.
Indeed, yes.
And motorized vehicles, yeah. And where pedestrians have problems and cyclists have problems. And you have, you have very original, firm ideas on this subject.
Indeed, I mean, they're ideas which are changing our approaches to traffic in towns right across Europe, the UK and mainland Europe and other parts of the world at the moment. And of course, these changes have potentially important implications for Reykjavik and other towns and villages in Iceland.
So you were going to show us some pictures.
Well, there are many examples now. When you say that my work is original, it isn't really. It draws on many pioneering work, particularly in the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Germany. But in a number of places, like here in the town of Drachten in the Netherlands, traffic signals and all the clutter and signs have been taken away, and people allowed to interact as if they were human beings, in the same way that we do in everyday life. And this is a junction that carries 17,000 vehicles a day. It's been in place for 8 years. It works fine. There's no safety problems, and so on. So that there are many examples now.
There are no signs, actually.
There are very few signs, no road signs, no signals, no barriers, none of the usual highway clutter and impedimenta, very expensive stuff that we've assumed for many years is essential to allow traffic to flow freely.
And this is something you question.
Indeed. I mean, what's interesting is that if you ask the question, do we really need traffic signals to tell us how to think, whether to go or stop in the middle of town?
Yes.
What happens if you take away all of that regulatory framework and allow drivers and cyclists and pedestrians and shopkeepers and traders to interact? And here is an example from Seven Dials, a place in the centre of London, very busy. Yes. And this is a site which has no formal recognition. There's traffic circulates around that central monument, but it's not a formal roundabout. But this is this junction works without any formal regulation at all, but drivers somehow become aware of their surroundings, the people around them, and so forth. Do you remember Fawlty Towers?
Yes, I do.
You remember the Major from Fawlty Towers?
Yes.
You know, morning, Fawlty. Well, I think he's still alive. Here he comes now, 20 years later, perhaps. And maybe he's a little bit blind and he doesn't always remember where he's going, but he's still a citizen. He's still a human being. And look how the taxi drivers don't worry, because they can read his circumstances, understand his context, and there's a wonderful civility about the way that taxi drivers who are otherwise very aggressive in Shaftesbury Avenue, just 100 yards away from the site, can be transformed by the qualities of place. And for years we've assumed that the streetscape, the bits of the highway in the streets, don't really matter. They're dealt with by engineers, and they're not part of the town. Okay, so it's planners and architects who build the houses, and the engineers with their practical approach. So that they build the roads. Yeah. So the good streets, we're realizing, emerge from not only a series of technical skills about how you make good places and how you create a speed framework, but also a completely different working relationship between engineers and the design professions, the architects, landscape architects, and so forth. But also, of course, that good streets are a political manifestation of what we want our cities to be. And for many politicians in the past, it's assumed, well, the streets themselves are dealt with by engineers. I have no control over it. If they say we have to have traffic signals, we have to have traffic signals. But in fact, in the successful examples where politicians say, this is the sort of messages I want Reykjavik or London to give, And now I want a city which responds to those qualities or values or messages.
But won't you have everybody bumping into each other?
Well, that's what's so interesting, is that if you allow people to think for themselves, don't treat people like idiots, let them think for themselves. On the contrary, the safety records of the schemes that have been done are remarkably good. This is on the screen a scheme in the Swedish town of Norrköping. This is a junction that carries about 13,500 vehicles a day, and it used to be traffic signal controlled. It was a usual bleak junction. They've made this very strong place out of it,
yes.
And people either walk across the middle or around the edges. It doesn't seem to make any difference to the ability for traffic to flow smoothly and slowly. On the contrary, the delays and congestion reduce. So it's interesting to start questioning some long-standing assumptions. There's a little bit of counterintuitive thinking here.
Yes.
That the way you make a street safe is to make it feel slightly dangerous.
Yeah.
And then people have to be alert and respond to each other. But you don't need all the expensive and disfiguring signals and lights and standardized lamps, which otherwise make every street look like everywhere else.
Yes.
And of course Reykjavik isn't everywhere else, it's Reykjavik.
But it's also a question, the way things are thought out is that cars should be in a special space where they can drive fast and freely.
And ironically,
yeah.
where we try to make traffic drive fast, the journey times are less good. In other words, if we can introduce a low-speed framework for traffic moving,
yes.
you don't need all the long delays at every intersection. The actual journey time of getting through a town reduces.
Yes.
So part of what I do is to try and help authorities decide what speed would we like traffic to be going through a town centre or an urban area. And what you find is that if you can do that within the human design speed of maybe 25 kilometres, 30 kilometres an hour.
Doesn't need to be bought, no.
No. So it's very much more efficient for cars and traffic as well. So it isn't a matter of penalising cars or drivers because they're a vital part of our economy, but making better use of the assets, the public spaces that we have.
So this is not anti-car?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
It's
no.
rather pro-car,
Yeah,
if you could say that.
Absolutely, because what you find is that there's a different model, a different paradigm for allowing traffic and people to interact together in towns, rather than assuming we have to build a separate, segregate traffic from people, that traffic becomes part of the civility and civic structure.
And you assure me that this will not end in people like the Major there being run over and children and children being hit by cars.
We've just in Britain completed a scheme in the town of Ashford in Kent, where the Channel Tunnel comes up. And this was formerly ringed by a really ugly, impenetrable ring road that people couldn't really get through. And now, after we've created a series of low-speed boulevards and a series of places, and the traffic moving through this place now interacts in a completely different way. There are no traffic signals, about 12,000 cars a day, and people, when we opened this, said, "This is crazy, millions will die."
Yes.
Well, so far, in the first 18 months of its working, there has not been one single injury. Okay. And when I was pleased because this was a very ugly ring road, and when we opened it, this image, I don't know whether you can see this, but this image, somebody painted this on the wall, that this bleak and unpleasant ring road still functions. The traffic still carries the traffic, but it's part of the town. And so you never can tell with safety, but if you can bring speeds down and have smooth flow and make sure that the driver doesn't have his thinking done for him or her by the traffic signals, nobody wants to run anybody over. It's not civilized.
So this is being tried out on a realistic scale in different places.
In lots of, I mean, it's the UK. The United Kingdom started a little bit behind other countries like the Netherlands and Sweden and Germany, but now major schemes like Exhibition Road in the west of London, the street that serves all the great museums and
Yes, it's
institutions of.
just south of Hyde Park.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
right.
yes.
And that's where the work has just started on site now to transform that into a coherent linear space. Still cope with traffic, but no longer feels like a segregated highway.
Yes.
And so to drive through it is a little bit like driving through a marketplace or a campsite or somewhere where you have to exercise civility. And of course speeds drop, and as soon as speeds drop, the safety improves as well.
Ben, I'll have to release you. You are going to catch a plane, I know.
That's right.
Yes, thank you for being on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you.